Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Tosh Customs, and today we are taking a look at the Zack Snyder Justice League Mezco 3-pack. This has been a long time coming, one, because this was supposed to come out, I think, like 2 years ago now, or at least that's when the pre-order went up, and this pack has been just delayed and delayed and delayed and delayed and delayed. And then second, I was on vacation for Thanksgiving. I was out with family. And so I was not able to sign for the FedEx delivery when it was originally supposed to arrive. So I have picked this up. We finally got delivered a week later. So I know that this has landed in a lot of people's laps already. I know that there are some reviews out there, but I think most people are just figure reviewers. I haven't watched any videos. I've just kind of scrolled just to see what general opinions are. And I've seen some people talk about it on Instagram and on YouTube, but I've been really trying to stay away from too much information so that I can give an honest opinion and comments from a customizer, because that's sort of the whole point of this series, right? To review things from the eye of, is the quality good? Can we make it better? Because that's the whole point of what we do. So first off, it's still in the plastic. You can see this is really, really new here. I haven't touched anything at all, but it comes in this big old long steel case. And I really like this because I believe originally when Mezco had first started marketing this, it was supposed to be like 3 individual boxes. I think that's what I remember, and maybe that's just some like Mandela effect, but I do believe that that's what I remember. So instead we have this steel case. It has the Justice League logo cracked on the front, and then it's labeled all over. Ugh, sorry, I bumped the camera. It's labeled all over with Zack Snyder's Justice League. And it's going to be a pain to open, so I'm just going to cut. And, okay, there we go. Took a little bit of effort, couldn't do it on camera, but here we go. We have it open. All 3 figures are all packed together in a single first plastic clamshell. And then under it, looks like we have a stack of display stands, all 3 display arms, some flash lightning effects, some batteries for the mother box, as well as wire and some other Batman accessories for the grappling hook and whatnot. So 2 clamshells, pretty Mezco standard, steel case, semi-Mezco standard for exclusives. So there we go. Oh, and look at that. You got a big old movie promo image right there. So let's see how the figures stack up to this. Putting that out of the way, I'm not going to install the batteries and a bunch of other stuff, and I'm actually going to take this and put it to the side for now because, honestly, we care a lot less about that. Let's dive into this here. I'm going to go left to right, maybe. Yeah, and it seems like most people have been a real big fan of the Batman, and everything else has been mixed opinions. So let's start with, let's start with Batman. I'm quite interested in Batman since it seems like I've been seeing a lot of people do repaints, and a lot of people seem pretty positive about him. So opening him up, he has the Bruce Wayne head sculpt on, and then it looks like there's 2 Batman sculpts up to the side here, and then we have his hands. The hands on first glance, it looks like the plastic is a little bit more matte, and the gunmetal there looks to be a little bit more matte as well, but the paint there is also a little bit more saturated. I don't know how to explain it besides that. It's not quite as gold. It's actually a little bit more brass and bronze, and I'm adjusting my lights here so you can see it better. So with that, yeah, all of this is definitely a lot less shiny, a lot more matte metal than anything else. That's the best way I can describe it. Bruce Wayne head looks pretty good. Feels a little too tan for Ben Affleck. Feels like he's just got a lot of dirt on his face, so that could be cleaned up. But expression is pretty much there, you know, for a 1/12 scale figure. I'd say it's there. I think his cheekbones are just a little too soft, maybe. It seems to be lacking some prominence, but especially from the front, it feels a little bit like knockoff Ben Affleck. But from the sides, you get him looking up, you get that profile a little bit more. Some put it like that, like 45-degree angle right there. That's Ben Affleck, like no doubt. Especially when you let the light accentuate the cheekbone, but the sculpt itself is just a little bit soft on those facial features. So there we go, Bruce Wayne head sculpt out of the way. Looks like we have a, yeah, look at this. As we unfurl the cape here, we have an entirely new cowl. I've never owned the original unarmored Batman. So I actually I can't say if this is a new cowl, but in my experience it is, because my most experience with the old Justice League suit was the tactical Batman suit. And so clearly this is a lot smoother of a cowl. And let's pull out the more calm expression for the Batman heads here. Taking a look at this, once again, my only real experience is the tactical Batman, so there's obviously a lot less texture, a lot less plating on this, but this looks really, really nice, you know, from how it feels right now. My camera's having a little bit of trouble focusing. There we go. Now we're in focus. You can see really good likeness right there. I'd say that's pretty solid overall. The eyes are painted nice brown. Expression, got a little bit of, I would say, a very minor 5 o'clock shadow. I still think the skin is just a bit too saturated, a bit too orange, but the depth of the eyes there is done really, really well. They've definitely stepped up in the department of the eyes, and those look great for sure. And there is some nice subtle texture along the surface, which is also great to see for the mold. So now that we got the Batman head on the Batman neck, man, that plug, it feels a little shallow. Because this neck is so wide, it does port in, but it doesn't have a satisfying pop or a snap. It would almost make you think it wasn't pegged in all the way, but it is. In terms of the cape, we have a new material of cape. We are not rocking with the faux leather anymore. We are rocking with synthetic fabric for this one, which I think is a shame because we have seen Batman capes with a heavier material, or just capes in general with a heavier material done by Mezco, and those have been great. This one also does not have wires posed at any other seams, which would have been nice to have as well, so we can get a little bit more dynamic poses. We just have wires going down the front. It has been cut in a way that it will drape over the front of Batman pretty well, so you can get him all towering over Gotham. And then obviously you can use the posing wires to help bring that cape back a little bit. I don't know if this is on a new body or not. I believe it is. From what I've heard, I believe this body is a new body to beef out the suit a little bit. And it definitely feels like the proportions are a bit more exaggerated. The chest, I mean, is a really, really thick chest. This Batman has been lifting those weights and definitely fits the build of Ben Affleck from that movie. We have the bat symbol here. Nice texture, nice scratches. A lot of pictures I've seen on Instagram don't really capture this suit very well. This suit looks really, really great in person. On the posts and pictures I've seen, this striped texture, it really is multi-textured. If you look at it, you can see you have these high ridges here, and the camera's capturing it really well. You have these high ridges, and then you have all these like diagonal and straight lines to add more pattern to it, and that's really great. And then on top of that, you actually have the cutout lines, and you know, I feel like the closest comparison to this is not actually the Batman suit, but the Sovereign Knight suit, in which they also tried to do different layers of paneling with black lining underneath it. And as we all know, it kind of failed. It ended up looking more like rubbery chainmail than padded plates. So this is a really nice follow-up to that. And I can imagine you can take this suit and swap it onto a Supreme Knight and, you know, get a lot closer to their original vision for that figure. They also have some extra padding that is layered over top, and you can see how well those lines match up. You know, these are extra printing over the base surface, and all the lines line up perfectly, which is really, really impressive. So I like that a lot. I really like that a lot. You know, it feels like there's probably someone eyeballing quality control on that, because I can't imagine a machine is hitting that second layer perfectly every time. We have a little extra shoulder padding here, and the lines line up pretty well running across there too. Unfortunately, these diagonal pieces are facing a different way, but maybe that is just to help differentiate the places for the armor. And then you have some extra padding along the bicep. Unfortunately, the way this is cut, it doesn't really sit over the front of the bicep as much as it wants to sort of, you can see it wants to pull to the inside of the arm. So it would have been nice if, however, that was cut or centered, if that was placed or rotated a bit more forward, especially since you have all this dead, like you have all this dead air right here. You have all this empty space. This definitely could be shifted around so that it faces forward. And you can see it's a problem on both sides. He's plating the inside of his arm, which is like, you don't need reinforcement on the armpit. But it's okay. Coming down to the knees, we also have an extra little knee padding. It's really just an oval with, a double oval over the top. Once again, having a little bit of an issue with the centering of it. I think definitely, Mezco is onto something when they peg knee pads in, because that places a fixed place for it instead of sort of flexing everywhere. As you can see, my left leg knee pad wants to face in, while this one is actually sitting straight on. And that could be how everything is either glued or sewn together and stitched up tight at the cuff here. And so maybe, I might be able to rotate this and sort of jimmy it around so it faces forward a little bit more. Doesn't want to work with me right now, but I'm sure a little TLC will get that all fixed up, because it looks like they're pasted in about those same place. It's just this one is pulling a lot more to the side, as you can see. All of this is dragging, whereas this is straight down. Looking at the gauntlets, like I said before, it's much more matte. These actually look like sort of like a high definition remake of the tactical Batman gloves, I would say. Definitely some different texturing on there, but you can see still we have some hard plate against the leather texture with the straps. Really, really nice, especially since in the movie we do see Superman shoot at Batman with his heat vision, and Batman blocks it with this armor plate and then rips it off his glove. So real great attention to detail there, that we do have that reinforcement. I was worried about that because these sit on the very back of the hands. And so from all the product shots, I actually wasn't sure if they were going to have that metal section. The rotation for these gloves, this one, at least on this side, feels pretty sealed to the suit. And so you can see how, maybe some of the rubber has stuck to the inside of the glove. And so if I twist it, it does want to drag the whole side over, which kind of sucks because, as you can see right now, my little bat fins on this side are facing inward. So looks a little awkward, looks a little weird. Whereas these are definitely on the back side of the forearm there. So little tiny things, kind of odd placement for some of this stuff. And it's unfortunate that the gauntlets, like this one, doesn't even want to rotate. Oh, there we go. It does want to rotate, but it drags the suit still. So tiny minor gripes here and there. In terms of the belt, it also feels a little stuck to the suit. Unfortunately, doesn't seem like this rubber here was maybe given enough time to set, or I'm really surprised that they maybe didn't put a little bit of plastic in between the belt and the suit here. I feel like that's kind of standard for Mezco, and we're missing it here. So very, very minor thing, but overall, I would say he looks pretty good. I don't mind the more matte paint. It looks really good in the light. It still shines and stands out well enough. It looks like he's giving like the old Keaton pouty lips with this lighting, but trust me, it looks better in person. And then also I just noticed this, some sort of like glossy, almost gunmetal-ish sparkle in the boots and the treads here. That is a new detail. Mezco usually doesn't highlight the bottoms of their boots, so it's nice to see a little bit more advanced paint application as well. In terms of articulation, double joints at the knees, those feel pretty tight and nice. Yeah, the body's just definitely a little bit bulkier. You can feel it. I'd be a little bit worried about maybe stretching the suit over time. You'll definitely get creasing if you leave it posed too long, but it's whatever. It's a toy, right? Double joint at the elbows, arms move all the way up, all the standard stuff you'd expect from Mezco. If you're familiar with Mezco, you're familiar with this guy. Really just looking at the new molding and the new material application that they're using here. So pretty nice overall. The ankles are definitely a bit stiff on that forwards backwards. I don't know if you can hear it, but it's really creaking. So probably some hot water or a heat gun or a blow jar treatment there to loosen up the connection, because as you can see here, once again, these boots kind of don't line up straight with the leg, so I definitely probably want to pop this off and align everything again. Minor gripe, but gotta mention it. Also interesting enough, there's no clip. Looks like there's just a tab for the grappling gun. I'm not as familiar with this grappling gun, but I remember the tactical Batman definitely having storage for it. So let's take a look at what we have here in terms of Batman accessories. We have the hands. We have grappling hook hands, mild expressive hands. Oh, sorry, these are like fisty grabby hands. We have a grappling gun hand here, so I think you can hold batarangs, mildly expressive, fixed holding batarangs. But let's look at this grappling gun. Paint apps look really nice. Definitely a little bit more detail I'm feeling than the original. A little bit of a extra splotch of silver there. It's not bad. And we do have a shallow port here. This looks to be a little too shallow. As you can see, it's barely off the surface. Let's see how it grabs. It doesn't want to at all. I'm definitely aligning it right. Okay, there we go. You get it, but man, it has like no grip whatsoever. I don't know why they made it so shallow on this belt. Really makes no sense. But I will say, props to them for sculpting in this buckle here. Usually Mezco belts kind of end up like this default pattern that they just kind of brush over the back. There's actually layers to this whole thing, which is pretty cool, and you can actually see some texture for the wider section of the belt. So definitely improvements in their sculpting department. Unfortunately, they missed out on the belt there. All right, so I would say that's a good enough overview for Batman. I don't really care about opening up his batarangs. They're batarangs. You put them in his hands. Let's move forward. All right, so let's get a crack at Superman now. And I'm really excited for this Superman because I've been wanting to make a Justice Lord Superman for the longest time. And I saw this black suit and I was like, this is perfect. I can repaint some of it white and we're gonna be gigging. So with that being said, toss all the plastic to the side. Let's take a look at what we got here. Body feels really nice, actually very smooth. The Batman, how I said Batman felt a little bit stiff. These joints feel pretty buttery. He gets a little bit of a wingy effect here when you pull the arms all the way to the side, but it's really not that bad. Definitely you can see some bunching and stuff. The suit does not sit super tight to the body. So we'll see how that affects articulation and stuff. You can already see how these cuffs kind of roll up the arm here. I definitely think there's an option to sculpt this ribbing on the sides as hard plastic and make it a cap, just sort of like the Batman gauntlets. But it's all right. It's not too bad. Looks like I have a little bit of adhesive plastic stuff stuck to the side of the suit. That's easy cleanup. That's fine. Superman symbol looks great. And see, once again, this is plastic molded with the pattern. They could totally do that on the arms, and then you would get rid of this, where as you bend the arm, it pulls up on the sleeve. It's not bad, but, you know, it's Superman. He's got an alien suit. It should be nice and seamless. So I think that could have been a place of improvement. In terms, I don't know if it's mine. I actually bought 2 of these, so maybe I'll have to open up the second one and find out. But suit definitely feels a little bit loose. I like the fabric, though. For something that's this patterned, which, man, that looks great in the light, doesn't it? For something that's this patterned, it doesn't feel heavy and overprinted. There's a lot of other suits that feel overprinted or overly overly elastic or overly rubberized, and you feel like that limits the articulation. This patterning does not feel bad on the suit, which is really cool. There is a little bit of a break in the pattern. You can see, even on the camera, it looks like there's a missing block right there. When I'm looking at it in person, it is still a little bit noticeable, but it doesn't look like there's any rubber peeling, so I'm not quite sure what's the cause for that in terms of their printing process. Once again, we are suffering from some misalignment. As you can see, the whole seam is facing forward here. So definitely going to have to work on shifting that and kind of twisting all of that back into place. That's 2 out of 3 figures now that are kind of suffering from just some minor QC control here. And you can look at this. This is running like all the way back, kind of funky. I can't even tell if it's stitching because even as I it doesn't want to rotate. It almost feels like the stitching is just a little misaligned. Oh yeah, you can look at that. Stitching is way, way misaligned on there. So Superman bulge, definitely some quality issues. Definitely a little bit of a quality production issue there. Is it game breaking? It's not game breaking, but it is a little bit disappointing to see something like that, especially in an all black suit, because there's no texturing that you can kind of hide this behind. That's just really blatant poor QC. Especially since you can look, it looks like these stripes are supposed to bend around back. These stripes are bending around back. So clearly, you know, the print process and the positioning of this is just poor cutting and poor sewing. So it is what it is. Coming down to the boots here, feet look a little bit long. Maybe it's just me, feet look a little bit long. We got some more glossy application to the soles of the boots, which is pretty cool. Ankle articulation leaves a little bit to be desired, especially since he's Spider-Man, or not Spider-Man, Superman. I feel like you should be able to tilt the ankles a little bit farther down, and they just don't. But this is pretty standard range for Mezco, so it's not unexpected. It would have been just nice if they were able to fit a little bit more in there, especially since we have seen Mezco put actual joints, very similar to the ball hinges that we've seen in hands. They have put that in boots on some smaller figures. Something like Superman for flying poses definitely could have used that little extra range. But, you know, it's fine. But, I mean, like, look at this. If I have him flying down, he's, like, resurrected. He's flying down. And his feet are just, like, you have to bend his legs in order to kind of get it. But even then, like, right, this one would be bent, and this one would be straight, and then he's just flat. Like, this is as far back as I can push it. So it's not bad, but it suffers a little bit. In terms of skin, once again, it's a little bit orange for my taste. It's not horrible. It's not offensively bad, but it's a little rough. Also, I will say the hands look like they are basically just unpainted plastic. They don't have any of the texturing and shading that the face does. You can see that it looks like this face has a red wash, and even the neck has a red wash. These hands are pretty bare, which is also just a little unfortunate to see. These guys are not plagued by like negative review issues. They're plagued by just enough minor issues to make you annoyed with them, if that makes any sense at all. The printing in terms of the silver looks really good though on the sides. And this cape is a really, really nice, light, soft material. I like this a lot. Usually, yeah, material like this, it tends to be a little bit stretchy and elastic, and that is exactly what this is. It doesn't quite nearly feel as cheap as some of the fabric you get from 1/12. Some makers from China use a very similar material to this, and it feels lighter and a little bit looser. This is a very tight elastic mesh in it, so whatever sort of blend this is, it's actually pretty nice. It hangs and flows really great, which is exactly what you'd want for Superman who's flying. Unfortunately, this wire is also very light. So as you can see, if I try to bend it up, it kind of holds, but it's the weight of the weight that the wire can retain is not more than the weight of the cape. And so it will always pull that cape down. So you're going to need wired assistance, you know, for all you ACBA people out there. You really want to get like a wide flowing Superman cape, you know, anything kind of like that. You're going to need the power of Photoshop, and you're going to need to, by hand, you're going to need to you're going to need to cut out some wires, because this does not hold on its own. As you can see, I'll straighten the wire and it just drops. So that's still not bad, but obviously a little bit of a heavier duty wire would have gone a long way. It's attached via these two, looks like it's tucked under this little plastic piece right here, which is probably glued down into the suit, so not bad application there. It definitely gets across the idea that this cape is just sort of fashioned into the suit. I like that a lot. Face sculpt looks great here. I will say I think the The bridge of the nose, at least in this light, looks just a little too big. But once again, Henry Cavill from most angles. Not too bad. Features definitely a lot more defined here, which is exactly what you'd expect. I think the jaw could be just a tad more square, but pretty satisfying. Taking a look at the alternate heads, I am interested in this one in particular because I really like his expression and I wish the laser eyes were optional. This head right here, this laser vision head. I love this grimaced sort of lip tucked expression because he looks mad. I mean, look at the furrowing in the brows. Everything's really cool. I wish these eyes could pop out or they were like a magnetic attachment, because normal eyes on this is the perfect angry Superman. Unfortunately, our other head option is a little bit of a weird face, and what I'm expecting, at least from the promo images, to be the weakest. And maybe I'll be happily wrong. But as you can see, this with like the little bit of teeth showing, this is so much. This one feels like an Injustice angry Superman. This is a guy who's a little pouty and maybe might be about to cry. It's not great. This one is definitely the weakest of the 3 head sculpts. This calm one is great, definitely that compassionate Superman, and then this one is definitely Judgment Superman right here. But it would have really been nice if this head sculpt had options to make the laser eyes interchangeable. That would have solidified this figure for me. Like, honestly, this head with normal eyes, I could probably overlook a lot of the other flaws of this figure because I like this head sculpt that much. Still, great though. He does come with some hands. We have Superman flying, Omni-Man body chopping hands, and we got some sort of half grippy hands. Very expressive hands right there. He's catching a punch from someone. He's catching a grenade. Who knows? Looks good. Looks really good. Overall, if I'm going to rate these out of 10 so far, I would say Batman is a solid, I want to say 7. Maybe 6. There's some weird things with the Batman. I actually think Batman is better over Superman, so I'm going to give Batman a 7. I'm going to give Superman a 6, just because there's definitely some things that are easily avoided on that Superman or easily fixed on that Superman that just aren't. By the way, we never looked at the Batman Grimace head sculpt. I'm not expecting anything crazy out of this. Looks like Ben Affleck. Mezco needs to work on their teeth a lot. That teeth application right there is really yucky. I don't know what they need to do better. They need to do something better. The eyes, the printing is a little offset. He has a little bit of a lazy eye on this one, which is unfortunate. That's just some mispaint application. They painted a little too far over his pupil, which, you know, is like a sticker. So that's also a bit unfortunate, but it's fine. From a distance, it's cool. Also, just paint your Batman eyes white for you customizers out there. Get the best of both worlds. Paint those eyes white. Give him the lenses that we never get in any Batman movie for some reason. Lord knows why. Then he'll look a lot better. We also get the Apocalyptic rifle from the Parademons, or the Parademon rifle, whatever you want to call it. It looks cool. Looks like it's a brighter silver. I actually have an old one laying around somewhere from Mezco, but I didn't pull it out for this review. Definitely a brighter silver from my experience. Looks like they probably went for like a gunmetal wash instead of a black wash, and that's why the finish is a little bit lighter. I feel like this is a new mold, but I might be wrong. I feel like the front of this blaster looks different, but I might be going insane there. Who knows? Looks good either way. Big ups. I like it. It's a great sculpt. If anything else, it'll look cool sitting next to your display. And now for the one that I want to be really good, because I was really impressed that Mezco was willing to go the exposed joints route. You know, the whole point of Mezco is to have no exposed joints, but I was really interested in their application of these because I think it makes sense and it adds to some extra dynamic posing for the Flash, while not compromising the fabric. But I have seen, and the general impression seems to be pretty negative with this guy. So let's take a look for ourselves. The first complaint I've heard is the proportions, and I'm seeing what people mean already is that this torso is very thick for the body. The arms and legs look great. I mean, they look really, really great. The bicep articulation right here, because it feels like it's sort of got stuck to the rubber printing again, so you don't get a lot of bicep swivel. I'm not even. I'm afraid I'm going to break a joint or something. Uh, Double bend on the elbows gets you a bit past 90, which is great. I mean, paint application, this maroon red across everything looks good. I'm not seeing any overspray from the gold at all, which is, or this like sort of goldish silver color, which is also great. I mean, all the silver lining is really clean on this guy. I mean, like in all the areas that Mezco should impress on, they definitely impress on. I don't know why these here aren't painted. You can see the silver here just fades away on both sides, and someone just never addressed the wiring there. A little bit unfortunate. Thank goodness it's on the back. Yeah, I mean, down to the lightning bolt on the boots. I didn't even know he had lightning bolts on the boots. That's great. Like, paint app wise, this is the most detailed. They even have shading, lighter, points of lighter red on the legs right here. A little bit lighter red on the knee pad. Yeah, there is some shading, whether that's coming from a wash or whether that's coming from actual paint. I'm not 100% sure. But I mean, look at this. There's layers. You have like some darker reds. You've got some more like black brown tones along with the red plastic. You've got painted lining. You've got, yeah, I mean, impressive. But he's got the thickest torso. Homie's built like a brick and looks like one too, which is really unfortunate. I think Mezco should have gone the route that they did with Gambit, which is they made this really, really weird skinny body underneath in order for the armor to look actually form-fitting. Instead, it looks like they went a slightly more lazy route and probably recycled a body they already had, remolded the connection ports here for the thighs, and then remolded or created new connection ports for the arms up here, and they called it a day. They dusted their hands on it, for it. For a project that's taken this long to receive, for the amount of time we've been waiting on this, I would expect some better engineering here. This is a completely solid torso piece, and I actually can't figure out where the connection point is. I don't even know how they got this on the figure. Did they just slide it? They might have just slid it over. Normally with these things, you can find like some kind of tab, but there's no seams on this. Okay, in that regard, it's kind of impressive. They went the Hasbro G.I. Joe route, and they went completely seamless. Oh, maybe it's right up here. That might be a seam across the front. No, it's not. No, it's not. Yeah, they went the Hasbro G.I. Joe route, slipped this thing over, and then installed the arms. So hey, props to them on that. I mean, it cuts down on the side profile of any overlapping, but this body armor is still way too thick. One impressive thing is they actually used elastic bands. Customers have been using elastic bands for years. Mezco is finally coming around to it, which is pretty cool to see. So we have elastic bands on the shoulders, so that means the shoulders aren't fixed and they will bend and push up with the armor. I like that a lot. Over time, elastic does have a tendency to wear out, so I would not keep him maybe too dynamically posed for worry that you're going to stretch that a little too much. But besides that, how does he pose? How's the articulation with this sort of half exposed joints, half fabric joints thing? The pattern here really looks great. It's this really nice oval pattern with this with black printing over the top with maroon fabric showing through. Interestingly enough, it's almost like the exact opposite of what we're seeing, on some of the legs for some of the patterning that continues in. It looks the opposite with like, this is like a black wash. So I think maybe the material should have been reversed there so that it's red printing over a black fabric just to kind of align more with the way the rest of the suit looks, but still pretty solid. This is a loose little crotch piece right there. I think that's good because then it flexes up and there's no paint rub. He gets less than 90 degrees on the kick. Back, he gets, in total, I mean, look at that. In total, it's like barely a 90-degree cross right there. For someone who is running the faster than light, he's running fast enough to turn back time. This is a really weak range. And that's really unfortunate. You know, you can do things, but, you know, obviously he doesn't have a torso bend either because this is fully molded, so it's just a little bit weak. In terms of head articulation, you also can't, wow, he really just doesn't look up at all. Like, look at that, it bounces, it pulls back. What's going on up here? Oh, I see what it is. Okay, so one, this peg is fixed. Look at this, like, this doesn't feel like a ball joint in here. Two, in order to make everything seamless and look really movie accurate, they included these, you know, little divot lip pieces that run all the way down the back of the neck and then meet up right here. So all of this neck is fully flush with this whole back bulb section right there. So he really has, like, he's got some side to side range, but he really can't look up. He really can't look down. If it was something in the movie, you know, if there was some throwaway line in the movie, kind of like the Nolan Batman movies, where he was like, I have no neck range. I can't look side to side. You know, maybe I'd pass up on it and we call it a design flaw. We call it saving the Flash's spine. But he's a very, very dynamic character in the movie. And, like, no up and no down on a running character feels really bad. So, man, I want to love this guy so much, but he definitely has some flaws. And I would say that there's definitely some clear modding that you could do for this. I think you could, you know, this is a normal Mezco body, so you could probably cut right under the chest here, and then probably right under these flaps here, and sort of follow some of the lines here. And you can give him some chest bend articulation. Probably, you know, bring back some of the waist and ab crunch that has, you know, that's really, really stuck under there. You can get a little bend, but I mean, not enough to make it meaningful. So yeah, definitely a little bit poor there. In terms of sculpt though, sculpt is great. I mean, that's how he looked. That's really solid. I think this is probably the most, from all angles, this is probably the most realistic sculpt that we've seen out of the 3-pack. The paint applications on this, once again, really, really good. You see we have some wear, some scuffing across the top, which is very accurate. We got some of that lightning bolt motif, various different textures, even various different shades. You can see that there's some darker to some lighter areas, and it's sort of ombres to a much lighter red in the back. I don't know how that comes across on the camera, but there is some shading on the helmet. You've got, you know, all these little black boxes here that are textured and picked out in paint. Different shades between the dark red and then some of the black texture as well. So a lot of paint applications. Good face sculpt, good head sculpt. I mean, everything is painted well. This guy looks great, except he just can't move well. Once again, the bicep pivot really doesn't pivot at all. The neck really doesn't like moving at all. You know, you really have to flex it and push it over some of, like, look at this. I have to squeeze it over, and you can see the plastic bend on it. You have to squeeze it over to get it to turn side to side. So really cool, but there's definitely some unfortunate stuff in this design as well. You can tell Mezco definitely chose to trade movie accuracy for playability, and I understand that these figures are designed for adult collectors, but there's basic engineering stuff that needs to be considered here, and I don't believe that accuracy to, you know, playability, that they have to clash in the way that they do on this figure. Clearly, we could have cut down on the actual internal body mold, made this armor a bit tighter, a little bit more form-fitting, so he doesn't look like the Brick instead of the Flash. These neck pieces back here, I think we could have really done well to have this whole neck collar piece where the silver line is to be a separate plug-in neck, so that we get to take advantage of the normal double jointed neck pieces that a lot of Mezcos have. Obviously the Batman doesn't, but, you know, Superman and those other characters, they do have a double ball jointed neck. Likewise, I don't know why this in here, you know, even if it is a ball joint below, they gave it no range. Like, that makes no sense. Whoever is responsible for that, why? Why did we design it the way we designed it. This 3-pack got pushed back so long, and I mean, if it was to perfect the paint on the body, that's great. I applaud you. But if it was to perfect the paint, that means we still cut corners in the articulation, right? Like y'all engineered this whole figure, and we engineered it with just this fixed, horrible neck. And I don't know what we waited so long for with something like this. It's not like we were waiting for the release of the Snyder Cut. The Snyder Cut has been out for ages at this point. It's been out for like 2 years. And we've been waiting for this 3-pack for, I think, even longer than that. So he's cool, but definitely feels like there are some corners cut or a detail not given enough attention. And that really, really cost this guy because he could be so awesome. I mean, like, I'm going to attempt to pose him just a little bit just to kind of show you what I see in him or his potential. I mean, like, in a running pose, like if I just kind of stretch and hold this neck up in place, throw this foot out a little bit, you know, if I can bend that in a tad. Oh, there we go. That one wants to bend. This left one doesn't really want to bend very much. Yeah, this one's pretty fixed, but this one can bend. Like, dude. At the right angles and everything, this looks great. This looks so good. It's just that you just actually can't have the neck like that, and the arms don't like bending, and you have to angle the whole body because the legs don't have enough kick forward and back to make it look really good. And you have to lean it forward to give the impression that he's bending forward while he runs because his torso is essentially completely fixed in place. Man, you know, I'm going to give this guy some TLC for sure because I love the way he looks. And I'm really just disappointed with Mezco that there were very, very minor things that all they had to do is just give it a little more time. You're making new molds anyways, right? Let's make new molds correctly. If we're going to make new molds and work through a whole, you know, what I assume is probably a whole new painting process because this paint detail is way more, you know, detailed than anything they've offered us before. If we're doing all that, let's just take that extra 5 or 10% and really, really knock it out of the park because this guy has potential to be great. In terms of the hands here, we have some flash straight running hands. We have some no stop, don't kill my mom spread out hands. And then we have the lightning, I touch Gal Gadot's sword and electrify it finger. The Atom finger of God finger point hand. So we got all that. We got it's the Spider-Man you're my clone finger. So that's the first 10. Oh, hold on, I'm missing a head. Sorry, we have a flash head. I'm also with this video going on 43 minutes as it stands. I don't think we need to look at the second 10. It's flash effects and it's some batteries and it's a mother box. We have a slightly expressive flash head here with a cut across his face. I don't know if that's movie accurate. It looks like I'm getting some paint errors here. Yeah, you can see a couple little splotches around the chin there. You can see that, some splotches right there. And we got that. If anything, haha, you guys, I got a battle damaged head. And we'll take it at that. This head, it's not molded any different. So you don't get any increased articulation, which even would have been kind of cool. But I really think, you know, for the sake of playability, you cut one of these ribs off and then you flatten out some of this neck bulge right here, and you just give him some range. But still pretty cool. A little bit more aggressive on the silver dry brushing for this head sculpt, but either way, they look great. I like this character so much. I love the design so much. I've loved this Flash design since the start, and so it's really just unfortunate that it doesn't quite nail it. I'll crack open the second tin. Ooh, I hit the camera. Sorry about that. I'll crack open this second clamshell just for you guys. We're gonna get this done quick. I don't want to post an hour-long video, and you guys probably don't want to watch an hour-long video. And I'm sure everyone who's watching this has just scrolled through it already. So let's get this over with. We have 3 Zack Snyder's Justice League bases. They're all exactly the same. These, why do they have so much? Look at this. look at, I don't know if this camera can see it. They have all this scratching on the surface. Why is there all this scratching on the surface? Look at that. It's not dust. You can see it. My camera keeps trying to refocus because it's confused. Look at that. You can see it. There's all this scratching on the surface of these. Yep. All worse, more offensive scuffing on this one. Look at this. Look at all this right here. Yeah. Okay. Last one. Let's see. Yeah, all of these have insane amounts of scratching on them. Like, look at that. It's like looking at a CD from 2006. Okay, the quality control issues continue. Once again, it looks like someone opened this and scratched it up and then put it back in the box. We have some flash effects. They're actually made out like a semi-flexible but relatively hard plastic. I do like the either paint applications or the plastic mix because it fades to this very clear plastic on the ends. That's pretty cool. We got a bunch of them. I'm not going to put them on the flash. They look nice. The sculpts are good. They're not too overly heavy. I think this is actually sprayed blue because you can see, or washed blue because you can see a little bit of a really, really dark, overly painted portion right there, in there. So probably sprayed or washed with the blue. But yeah, the lightning effects, really nice. Really, really nice. I like those a lot. Coming to the mother box here, it does have a light up function. I'm not going to install the batteries. Doesn't really matter. It's cool. It looks cool. It looks like what we saw in the movie. Unfortunately, you can see the bulbs right through there. I think if this plastic was a little bit more opaque, if this was a little bit more frosted, it would be nice not to see the light bulb at the center of each of the faces of the mother box. Oh, except for this one. And that's really nice. They hit a switch into the mother box. So you would just flip that and it would turn on. For my sake, I'm not going to do that. And I actually wonder how you would install the batteries on this. I assume this is just tabbed in. Yeah, it definitely is. You just got to pry this away somehow. I'm not going to do it right now. But another nice detail, you can see that they actually sculpt it a little bit raised from the surface on all the corners so that you can get a screwdriver on there or your nail under there and pry this off the surface, which is really, really cool that they did that. And I'm having trouble prying it right now, but that's definitely the intention. Oh, hold on. There we go. Oh, almost. I'm celebrating too early. It's all the pressure has been forced into this one corner now. All right, it doesn't want to come off all the way, but you get the idea. Once again, something like that, a consideration like that. Oh, someone's going to need to pry this surface off. We're going to sculpt it in with some extra little tabs to pop the top off. That's cool. That's going the extra mile. You know, the fact that they made this, you know, 8-sided cube, you know, this 8-sided cube with, you know, all these, are all these unique? No, they're not unique. They're just put at different sides. Okay, but still, you know, they made this whole thing. That's pretty cool. Would have been nice if that budget was put towards the flash. And then lastly, batarang stuff. These batarangs are done more in a gunmetal. They're not nearly as bright of a silver as some of the other ones are. And other than that, nothing else to talk about. It's on a wire. It's cool. It's not on a string like some of the old Mezco stuff. So that's a big plus. Some of Mezco's wire work is good. Some of it's bad. I'm never going to display it with the wire out, or him shooting the grappling gun. So I'm going to leave that closed for the time being. Mezco stands, Mezco bags. For the rest of it, you know the drill. So that's that. I think if I was to sum up this entire pack, it is what could have been. This, for how much love the Snyder cut has. I mean, they all look so good if you're able to highlight their, you know, respective qualities. Like Batman is the body build. I mean, homie is jacked out of his mind, and it looks great. I mean, he's on trend and then some stuff. The back knee, the bat acne is going insane. But like all of these guys, given their, you know, proper time to shine, have the potential to look so cool. And all of them just miss for tiny, tiny reasons. And so instead of getting the most legendary Mezco 3-pack we ever get, we get an ensemble of slightly too orange characters who all suffer from QC issues. And I know I'm sounding pessimistic, but I'm not going to be a Mezco apologist for this. For the amount of time it took to get this 3-pack out, these guys miss a lot. And that, to me, is really disappointing. I think they will create great fodder, though. And I think with some tender, loving care, all of these guys can be bangers. It is just unfortunate that out of the box, and for people who don't customize, this is kind of a big L. So with that, that concludes my review. I like to be more, I want to be more positive with this than I am, but unfortunately, we're here to tell the truth, and we're here to criticize these and, comment on these based on their potential, what they are and what they could be. And what they are is good at best. Good at best. I can't give it any, I can't give any of these figures more than a 6 or a 7. Batman is by far the best, and I see why people have been giving this suit the most love. It's great. It's a really, really solid figure. The body looks really, really solid. He looks like he can punch you through a wall. Superman, also great looking. Material choices are good. He suffers from that Punisher sleeve come up too high issue, which I was going to hope that we were past by now. But, I mean, his build looks good. I think his waist could be maybe a little bit thinner. We could snatch that up a little bit. But since he's all in black, black is thinning. And so he doesn't look too shabby. His head sculpts are pretty good. Once again, skin tone is just a little too orange. But overall, pretty nice. It's unfortunate mine suffers from a stitching issue. But still a pretty solid looking figure overall. And then finally, the Flash, the one I was the most hopeful for. Honestly, this guy gets like a 4. The best I could give it is a 4, because everything that the Flash is, and everything that they did with these exposed joints for the idea to increase the range of motion, increase your ability to pose him, gets completely canceled out by the lack of neck articulation, by the lack of torso articulation, just a completely frozen torso. And even the range of motion on the legs here, it doesn't go to 90. It doesn't go back that far. Like Mezco, I would just cut out some extra parts of that butt plate so that he can kick back a little farther. Like he's a runner, I mean, he can kick his own butt, but that's because of his knees. You don't run with your knees, you run with your hips and your thighs. And so his range just doesn't get it across. Really cool stuff, really disappointing stuff. What can you say? Such is life. Thank you all for watching this review. I don't have any other updates right now for you guys. Honestly, it's been a busy season with the holidays. I am actually going to be moving again in January. So I'm kind of mentally preparing for that, as well as signing a lot of paperwork. We have been fortunate enough to have the opportunity to get a condo, which is really cool. So we have, no longer an apartment, no longer throwing money at rent, which feels really good. But that just means that, once again, like last year in the winter, my life hits a busy season and a season of transition. So content is going to stay a little bit slow. But if you are interested in what I'm doing, and you are interested in the tiny little updates that I'm still dropping, please go and check out my Instagram at Tosh_customs. I appreciate all your guys' support, and I appreciate the community that we have in figure collecting and figure customizing. It's great. And, you guys have been some of the coolest people I've ever met on the internet. So without further ado, thank you for spending the last 54 minutes listening to my thoughts, and I will catch you all next time. Take care.